I never thought I'd say these words out loud. But I'm not going to my twin's wedding. I, 24M, have an identical twin. We're not close, but I thought we had basic mutual respect. That belief was tested. I grew up in a traditional southern town and only began coming out in college, about 5 years ago. It's been slow, especially with family. But since moving to DC in 23 for school/work, I felt more comfortable living authentically. After moving, I met my boyfriend, 26M, and we've been together 2 years. Over time, I've introduced him to friends and family when I felt safe. Cut to November 24, I was home for the holidays and told my twin and his fiancée about my BF. They seemed happy for me. While staying with them, wedding details arose, and they asked if I'd be bringing a date. I said yes, my BF. My twin had gone to bed, but his fiancée said, "While there are pros and cons, it's up to you if you want to bring him." That felt like a green light. My twin constantly deferred to her on decisions, so I didn't think I needed to double-check. 5 months passed, my BF and I had spent $1,300 on travel, flights, hotel, etc. 3 weeks before the wedding, I mentioned on a call with my brother that we were all set. His tone shifted. "Oh, is BF actually coming?" I reminded him of the convo with his fiancée. He said she never gave me permission and accused me of making it up. Then said, "We can't allow your BF to come. We worry how Dad's side will react." I offered to call Dad on the spot. He dodged, saying he'd check with his fiancée, despite just saying it was his decision. An hour later, no change. I was still invited alone, still expected to buy a groomsman match suiting, even though I wasn't in the party, and show up smiling. That's when I snapped. I asked, "If I didn't invite your fiancé to my wedding, would you still come?" He couldn't answer and ended the call after some harsh words. Trying to make things right, I came out to my dad, which I feared for years, to explain the situation. He was surprisingly indifferent and even said uninviting my BF was extreme. He offered to talk to extended family. I thought I was removing the main obstacle. Weeks later, my twin called again. He now claimed our friends would be weirded out, so the excuse shifted. I said, "If my BF's not invited, I'm not coming." He didn't budge. Here's the kicker: days later, my dad told me the fiancée admitted she did give me permission but changed her mind when she remembered who would be there. She denied this to my twin. Also, one of her bridesmaids is openly gay and brought her GF, but, according to the fiancée, she's not part of the family, so it's different. So I didn't go. I'm still wondering if I made the wrong call. My absence was noticed. I got texts asking where I was. My mom had to explain it repeatedly. So instead of avoiding attention, my absence became the story. My relationship with my twin is dead, and some family ties now feel fragile. Part of me wonders, should I have sucked it up and gone solo, just to preserve bonds that shaped my early life? Comment 1. NTA. But your twin and his wife definitely are both are. I'm glad you found out that your dad is at least supportive of you and your boyfriend. That's something good out of the stinking corpse of your relationship with your twin. Comment 3. NTA. Your dad being indifferent/supportive came so far out of left field. It would have been fine if that had resolved the issue. After all, backlash from family is a major reason why people are afraid of coming out, and even just supporting a queer family member can lead to negative experiences with the homophobes in the extended family. But that's not what happened. The excuse shifted. Okay, maybe the friends. Oh, there's a lesbian bridesmaid who's allowed to bring her girlfriend. Sorry, but your brother and his wife are awful. Comment 3. The only thing that is odd is that you were going to bring your BF but hadn't come out to your own father prior to the wedding. Your brother's wedding was not the right time for a coming out situation, because that really would put attention to yourself instead of him if it was a big surprise to your dad and other family. That said, since you removed that issue, it was insulting that they withdrew the invitation after extending it. You aren't owed A+1, but in this case, it was intentional and you had every right to skip going. NTA. Short story 2. I 35M share custody of my daughter 9F with my ex-wife. My ex has her on the weekends and drops her off with me every Sunday, and of course dropped her off with me today. My ex also has a new husband who has a 5-year-old son. When my ex dropped our daughter off today, I noticed she got out of the car from just the regular seat and wasn't in her booster seat. Turns out today my ex and our daughter thought it would be fun to stop off at the park for a while before she dropped her off with me. When the 5-year-old heard this, he wanted to come with them, and my ex and daughter agreed. My ex didn't want to go through the trouble of uninstalling the 5-year-old's car seat and putting it in her car, and her husband needed his car for errands, so he said she should just put the 5-year-old in our daughter's booster seat and let her ride with just the seatbelt, and my ex agreed to this. I was so upset. I asked my ex how could she be so irresponsible to let our daughter ride without her booster seat. She said she didn't think it was a big deal since it wasn't a long drive and it was just one time, and that our daughter liked not being in a booster seat. I got more upset and said it was completely irresponsible to drive our daughter anywhere without her booster seat because it's for her safety. I kinda snapped and yelled at her for a minute because I was so shocked and angry that she would disregard our daughter's safety like that. She got defensive and said he would have been disappointed if she told him he couldn't come with them, and our daughter liked not being in a booster seat. I told her it was better to disappoint one child than put another in danger, and our daughter is 9, she isn't old enough to make this decision on her own. My ex left upset and has since sent me some angry text messages, and her husband sent me one to saying I way overreacted. Comment 1. I'm going to go with YTA, but you went outsized with the yelling. There was no need to yell. Do you yell at her often? Because that's a maladaptive way of dealing with anger or irritation. Also, double YTA if your daughter witnessed it. That's not how to model conflict. Comment 2. Yes. I guarantee you've lost more in your co-parenting relationship with your ex than you gained in this instance. What you've likely assured is your ex just will start hiding things from you and engaging with you less. You lost your high ground on talking about how you all can problem solve having both kids in the future so they can both be safe and they don't have to miss out on fun activities together. Your ex has to feel safe enough with you to tell you things and let you into her life when she has your daughter. She does not have to tell you anything. Comment 3. I can't believe people thinking this is not a big deal. A booster seat is based on height and age. It isn't like X said. I realized that she no doubt longer needed one. X decided she couldn't be bothered. This is a big deal. NTA. What other safety precautions is she ignoring out inconvenience? Story 3. It's interesting story, so let's dive in. I, 26M, was at a crowded park recently where there were food trucks set up and people sitting around eating. Seating was pretty limited, and most people were sitting on this low concrete wall that runs along the edge of a parking lot. On the other side of the wall is a grassy area that's level with the top of the wall, so people sit with their backs toward the grass and legs facing the lot. I had just gotten my food when I noticed the only free spot left. At the same time, I saw a girl, well dressed for the park, also walking toward it. She saw it first and was headed that way, but I was closer and got there before her despite her running when she saw me approaching it. As I got to it, I looked down at the grass behind the wall and saw a big pile of dog poop right where someone's lower back or clothes would land if they leaned or sat back. It was pretty gross, and I decided not to sit. Right then, she walked up and looked annoyed, saying, "Seriously?" I was going to sit there. I didn't want to make a thing of it, so I just stepped aside and said, "Go ahead, you can have it." She immediately sat down without checking behind her and just a second later jumped up with a disgusted look on her face. The poop was stuck to the back of her skirt. She turned to me and snapped, "Why didn't you say anything?" I told her, "I saw it, yeah, but I didn't know how you were planning to sit. For all I knew you were just going to perch on the edge or sit upright. It's a park, people walk their dogs here. You've got to check before sitting down." She kept insisting I should have warned her, but I told her I wasn't trying to be petty, I genuinely didn't know how far back she was going to lean or sit, and it wasn't really my responsibility to check the ground for her. She could have sat only on the wall and not on the grass and would have been fine. She eventually walked off frustrated, but now I'm wondering if I should have just said something anyway. But I feel like, especially since she was so confrontational about the spot, it wasn't really necessary. What do you think about this one? Any thoughts? Comment 1. I'm a go with YTA. You knew there was a reasonably high chance that she was about to get pooped, and your offering the seat to her carries the implication, to some extent at least, that she was not about to get pooped. She was being a bit rude, sounds like, but I dunno that she was being poop rude. Comment 2. Letting her sit in dog shit because she was a bit rude was a complete overreaction. There was the perfect chance to embarrass her for her rudeness by pointing out there was a big pile of dog shat there, as she would have likely been grateful for the warning and embarrassed that she was rude. Or maybe not, but letting her sit in dog shit is such an a-hole move, and I don't think that lady had done anything that really deserved that. Comment 3. YTA, in this situation and in general, I expect. You knew she was going for the seat but decided to sit there anyway. The only reason you didn't is because of the poop. Then you said nothing. You would have been in the clear if you just let her have the seat you knew she was hustling to. Story 4. I don't like the boyfriend in this story. So dive in without wasting your time. Last night my F26 shower knob broke off while I was going to turn it on. As this happened, water began spraying out of the knob and into the tub. Thankfully my drain didn't overflow and flood, but I had zero idea how to turn it off. Now this is important later. My boyfriend has access to the Ring camera I use at my house, and I was texting him as all of this was going on. I'm trying to call the landlord to figure out what to do, and I'm making sure the tub isn't overflowing. My landlord wasn't answering. I just so happened to catch my neighbor from across the hall as he was coming home, and in my panic I asked him for help. He very quickly was able to stop the water from flowing by sticking a pair of pliers in the broken knob and turning something. So the day was saved. I didn't think anything of this and kinda just finished my night and went to bed. So also important later, as all of this happened, obviously I was getting ready to shower, so I was wearing a pair of boy shorts and a tank top, nothing I'd even come close to wearing around others normally. I hadn't texted my boyfriend back for a while all of this was happening, so he ended up checking the Ring camera. He saw me in front of the door freaking out asking my neighbor for help, last motion captured by the camera, and also saw I was wearing essentially underwear while all of this happened. As soon as I let my neighbor in was the next time I texted my boyfriend what was happening. So it wasn't like I didn't inform him of what was going on. He's extremely upset that I ended up asking my neighbor for help without getting more dressed. In the moment I literally didn't think about it. It's hard to explain over text, but the entire situation was just a shit show. I was running around like a chicken with its head cut off. I tried explaining all of this, but he's still upset at me. The more and more I think about it, I just don't feel sorry. I don't know how to explain it. I feel like I'm in a hole for feeling like I'm justified in asking for help, hence why I'm here. Also, edit for clarity, since I kind of just word dumped, I'm asking I'm the a-hole for refusing to apologize. He hasn't answered me, and the last thing he sent me was, if you don't see anything wrong with any of that, referring to asking my neighbor for help, then I don't know what to tell you. I'm not apologizing because I feel like I don't need to, and I'm curious if unbiased strangers feel the same. Also some info because I've been getting messaged about it. He's specifically mad because in the clip from the doorbell I stumble out of the door, from running around so much, and my ass is hanging out of my shorts because, well, they're underwear, and had ridden up. Which I almost immediately fixed as we entered my apartment. Comment 1. NTA, it was an emergency. What if you had a medical emergency and someone saw you less than fully clothed? Would he be upset then? He sounds very immature. Comment 2. NTA. Time to have a talk to him about why he's more worried about your state of dress than he about your emergency. His priorities are misplaced. Comment 3. NTA. You were not trying to seduce anyone, and you had to do what you could to take care of your apartment. This may indicate that he is a very jealous person and that is not a good quality to have in, and so, may be potentially controlling, too. Do not second guess the things you do in life. You do the best you can under the circumstances, and that is all you can do. This is clearly his problem, not yours. Don't let him shame you or demean you for this innocent event. If he can't be there for you, you must do what you can to get help. You did nothing wrong. You don't have to justify anything to him or anyone else. You seem strong and self-reliant. Don't let anyone take that away from you. Before leaving the video, kindly share your thoughts. Thank you and have a nice day.